Hello, my name is Donny McNichol of Team Animation. I'd like to talk to you about critical leadership competencies, in particular three key competencies that we identified in Project Leadership 3rd edition, a book that we had published a little while ago, and I'd like to go through each of those three with you. There are many competencies that make a difference, and it'd be very hard to go through and list all of them out. It's worthy of many hours of discussion itself. But we think there are broadly three competencies that successful project leaders should exhibit and model with other team members. Without them, collaboration is reduced and the collective energies, expertise and knowledge of the team is squandered. Beside technical capabilities and experiences, these things make the difference. They rely strongly on a business acumen, interpersonal skills and organisational intelligence. The three critical competencies are vision and big picture, so understanding how the project fits with the strategic direction of the organisation, the vision of the project aligning with that. Building key relationships, identifying and building relationships with key players, including stakeholders and the sponsor and client and so on, and trusting relationships. And the other is communicating and engaging once you've built those relationships, looking at different facets of communication, including branding, marketing, and so on. And as you can see, if you do all of those, you get the t-shirt at the side. So let's go through each one of these one by one. So vision and big picture. So understanding how the project fits with the direction of the organisation. Ideally, what a project manager is looking for is if they understand where the direction of the organisation is going and can cascade that down to their own project and understand how their project fits with the longer term goal or aim of the organisation or organisations, depending on the nature of the project, absolutely critical. And not only understanding it, but then being able to communicate it and articulate it in whatever medium that may be, whether that's roadmaps or future vision statements, however it is that they need to do it, but it needs to be captured and articulated in a way. It should have clarity, and it should have provide the aims and outcomes clearly articulated. They also needs to understand what success looks like, so that vision around its success needs to be described. It needs to be visible, it needs to be clear to people when they look at it. We've got at the side here an example of the Eden project and Tim Smith, who was the founder and creator of the Eden project, and it had a very strong vision right from the start of what appeared to be a construction project from the outside, but it was sold, he positioned it in such a way that it was a compelling vision for the future, and it was sold incredibly well to people, and that's what created the project, was that strong vision that he had for it. So the second one is building key relationships, so identifying, developing and maintaining relationships with key players. You need to identify first of all the range of stakeholders and their particular attributes. You can see in the small visual down in the right hand side, just from an example of a case study or an exercise we've used about how the relationships between each of these stakeholders in a hypothetical project can be mapped. The key players could be sponsors, client, project team. You need to develop and maintain the relationships. That may mean that you actually need to put key resource into it. Very often when you look at a project and there's a breakdown of work, sometimes you don't even identify the work of project management. It does happen. And within project management, often there isn't a clear identification of energies and resources that go down to building relationships. The time's just got to be found to do that. Well, it should be explicitly identified. To build those key relationships, you need organisational intelligence. You need to understand how the organisation works. Who are the true decision makers? You need to understand the political dynamics. Things change all the time. Politics, whether we like it or not, is important and critical. Project manager, if it's in a very insular, small project, may not need to worry themselves. But many project managers, more complex projects, do need to understand the interplay between senior and middle management and the politics around that to ensure that they can build the right relationships and of course build the power that's required, the power base to do that. The last one is the communicating, engaging. And that's all about building credibility and support. Once you've got the vision, once you've got the relationships, is keeping that credibility and support going. It's essential to be doing it, and you've got to identify the resources, as I said, to then carry out the communication and the ongoing engagement effort that is required. You need to facilitate feedback. It can't be just one way communication engagement. It's got to be two-way. It's got to be coming back to you as well. There might be traditional and non-traditional channels. Non-traditional channels you might class as some of the modern technologies that we now have, whether that is the electronic or not. But they are becoming now the norm, and for the new generation of people coming into the workforce, those are the norm. As an example, some people that are coming out of university now have never used email, have no intention of using email. And if that is your main channel of communication, they may find it very difficult to engage with that if it's just not what they've used in the past. There's also a topic around branding and marketing. There's a separate video that we've actually produced on project branding. How do you create an engaging brand for it and communicate that to people so that you can understand why it is they're doing the project? And you need to get the image to the side here that I've shown is one of these some street artwork. It is the same message, it's the same image, but if you look at it from two different points of view, it's completely different. You've always got to keep in mind whatever it is you think you're communicating may not be landing with the person the way that you perceive it would be. Just to finish, I've got, we did an article for the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors on the value and importance of excellent leadership on major construction projects. And we asked a number of people for quotes. So it was just interesting. It was all about what was these critical leadership skills. And we went through it and we introduced models about organizational culture and organization about 8 lookings and how leaders need to look in 8 directions. The topic of some extra other videos actually. But some of the key things that were pulled out was 3 key quotes. One by Bent Flyberg, who is at Side Business School, one of the leader on mega projects. And for him, if you were going to be appointing a leader, the key thing is to hire a project leader who has done it before. So it doesn't quite tie up with the competencies, but if somebody has been shown to be competent in the past, they're more likely to achieve in the future. That is why in major projects, you tend to have a very small pool of people who are called upon to work on it, whether they're jumping between a Heathrow work or a Crossrail or a high-speed 2 or whatever it may be. Also, got a quote here from Mark Thurston, who's the Regional Managing Director of CH2M. And for him, the project leader should exemplify the firm's values, instill loyalty and courage into the team, and develop trusting but challenging relationships with the client. And then finally, Paul Mansell from Impact Consultant, who I've had the immense pleasure of working with for a number of years. Paul's quote's a great one in that for him, the critical competency skills that are required are threefold. The ability to drive decision making in the fog of project complexity, have high emotional intelligence and understand how they react, and also have fun, which may seem quite light, but ultimately it can be very stressful, and bringing a little bit of fun and lightness into a project can be very important. So I hope that has been of interest. The material, the 3 key competencies are actually part 3 of the project leadership book, and there's some details there if you are interested. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you very much.